Yeah, cool.
We're going live.
Awesome. So welcome back to the Bowen Training Podcast. We have got another guest with us today. So we've got Tom Hames, another well-renowned coach within the industry and bodybuilder. So how are you doing, Tom? You all right?
Yeah, all good. Thank you very much for having me on, guys. Appreciate it.
No worries. So how's lockdown treating you? You doing okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, I've got bits and bobs that I can do with training and stuff, so I'm all right for now. I'm looking forward to obviously everything getting back to normal, but because I heard about the how they're going to have to run things in gyms if social distancing still has to carry on, and they're going to have like blocks where certain amounts of people can train at certain times and things.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine that trying to run it like Ultraflex or something like that? Like, that's going to be a fucking nightmare. So I think. Go on.
Do you work in the gym, Tom?
Sorry, mate.
Do you work in the gym? Do you? Are you a PT?
Yeah, occasionally I do a bit of PT as well. Like I do PT, but like very rarely. Like I only most of the time I just PT my clients who come down to see me. So I'll either because I teach posing as well. So I'll either take them through posing or I'll take them through like a training session or whatever. So that's what's included in like in my coaching package, because I'm like, so like with what I charge, people get a training session once a month included in that if they want to come down as well. Like, they're more than welcome to, because the gym I train out of, the guys who run it are sound. So, but it's a 24-hour gym as well. So I'm going to train at like fucking 4 a.m. to avoid those slots that have come up with the thingy. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, I'm the same. So I spoke to my gym manager. I work at like a recreational gym.
Sick. Okay,
so it's like
cool.
a chain gym in Cambridgeshire. And he was saying they're aiming for the 4th of July to open, like the earliest being. So they've set their hopes on that, and all like the big bosses have said the same thing, but there'll be like extreme measures in place. So like whether that's standing at the door with like sanitizer spraying on people's hands, or like every other bit out of order.
And, well, the problem is, if you think about this, like if you think about a pure gym, right, and you think about how a pure gym uses a finger panel thing to get people in, you're already touching the panel, so you have to wipe down the fucking electric panel every 5 minutes. Like that's going to get real old real fast. And the gym I work out of and train out of, Revolution Fitness in Worcester, they've got thumbprints, like fingerprints. So again, you have to have that as an issue, which is, you know, how often does that have to get cleaned, etc., etc. Like if people are going, oh, I have to wear gloves, well, your gloves ain't gonna fucking scan on the thing. So then you've got issues like that. And then like blocks when certain people can train. So like I said, I'm probably going to get up at like fucking 3, like have a meal, go and train at like 4 a.m. just to avoid anyone, and then come back, go to sleep for a few more hours, and then crack on with the day. I think there's ways around it if you want to do it, but I think some people are some gyms are limiting people to like 3 sessions a week, which is going to make bodybuilding like quite difficult for some people.
So for my gym, it's like so we probably have like peak times like 90 to like 100 people in our gym, and they're talking about limiting it to about 20 at a time.
That's what
so
I
like
heard,
people can be fighting for these slots. Like it's going to be crazy.
It's going to be fucking mad, isn't it? It's going to be fucking mad.
But then will be different.
Say again, Tom?
Sorry. I was saying like more independent gyms, like our gym, Jay, like definition, I don't think they'll really stick to it.
I think a lot of bodybuilding gyms will probably relax them quite a bit, but if they get caught doing that, that's when the more issues come into play. Like, you know, I don't know enough about what's actually going on with COVID to be able to talk on it, and I don't want to talk on a subject I don't know enough of. But I think that if we're nice and careful for a bit longer, then we will get what we want back. If we take the piss with it, we won't get what we want back. Just in general, that's just roughly.
How do you think it will go with shows, Tom?
Say that again, mate.
How do you think it will go with shows, like in terms of like running shows?
Like I would love them to come back this year, even if it was just like 2 or 3 little ones. Like I know Sam Bennett is still putting on the Barbarian Classic, at the back, because that's Midlands based. He actually asked me to judge that one, which is cool.
Do you know when that is?
November the 1st. So I've got 2 lads going for that at the moment, and 1 girl going for that. Whether or not they'll be able to do it, or whether or not, you know, it won't go ahead or whatever, I'm going to diet them anyway. And then if they don't get into the show for whatever reason, then we'll just rebound out of that.
Cool.
So that's
awesome.
The plan.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I mean. That's 2nd November. That's like sort of time. I'll be ready, leading around. I'm sort of aiming for like October, like 2 bros.
Are you dieting at the moment?
I'm dieting right now, yeah. So October. Well, 2 bros originally announced like 14th and 15th of August.
Do you want to do 2 bros?
No. So I was just going to do it because it was going to be a show.
Yeah, because you wanted to compete.
Because it's like the British finals, you didn't have to qualify, and just like
they've got them on hand. Well, they've moved it now. They've moved it, so it's going to be October. They took
that's more time for me, so that's brilliant.
Sick. Okay, cool.
So they're what I'm for, like October, November. So it'll be good for me.
Are you
that's
working
in November.
with Jace again for this?
No, me and Charlie are doing it together.
Yeah.
Sick. Okay, cool.
I prep Jake, and we just do it like that.
Just bounce stuff off each other.
Yeah. So I
that's
Jake,
cool.
I prepped Jake till 4 weeks out last year, and then he switched to Jace.
Oh, that makes just for Jace to take over at the end.
Yeah. Just so I think just because obviously Jace is a bit more experienced than me, so Jake.
Well, it's like an outside eye, isn't it? Because he's your brother, isn't it? So at the end of the day, you're going to be like, oh shit, do I tell him he's not there, or like, you know what I mean? Like, no, I would be the same. Like my mate Steve Phillips, like he's one of my best mates. So I'm prepping him this year, and I've said to him, I said, right, we're not friends when I'm prepping you. We're friends as soon as you walk off stage. Like I don't give a if I have to tell you, you look like shit. You look like shit. Like. You know, I'm not. We can be all jolly when you've won. If I'm not a harsh dickhead to you now, like you're not going to get in shape. Like, so I have to be that way with him, and it's kind of difficult sometimes. It must be like
no, but at the end of the day, you're prepping for a result. You're prepping to be shredded, or you're prepping to be for a certain look. You don't prep to be something to lick your ass.
No, exactly. Yeah. And I'm working with Cal next year, Cal Reistrick, and he's a good friend of mine. And I get on with him, and he respects me, and I respect him. But like when it comes to prep, it will be like I've said this so many times, and I've sort of engraved it in my head. It will be tunnel vision. Nothing else matters. Listen to what Cal says. If you think you look flat, ask Cal if you look flat. If he says no, then just crack on. Like that sort of shit. Like just crack it. Just fucking tunnel vision. Blinkers on. Nothing matters.
So what's your plan with shows and things for next year?
So for me next year personally, I'm going to go for the June shows because I'm not good enough to do the British as a novice yet. I'm not big enough. And my shape isn't where I want it to be. Because like realistic, like I'm 6'2". Like you guys are tall as well, aren't you? You're tall as well.
I'm 6'2" as well.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So what weight do you guys compete at, like roughly? Like
last year I was like, this is my first season competing. I was about 98, but this year I'll be.
What's that? Sorry, dude. I work in pounds. What's that?
So like 218, something like that.
Okay, cool. Okay.
But like this year, because I never really done a proper off season for that, so I'll probably be around 230 if I compete this year.
Nice, that's good. That's really good.
Last year I was like the last sort of few weeks I was.
You were skeleton, mate.
I was like fucking peeled.
I was peeled, but I was taking some photos after time, and like from 4 weeks out to like show day, I lost so much muscle. I was like too depleted a little bit. It was just like a fine line.
Yeah, but that's a hard thing. Sometimes it's a case of just pulling it all off. And especially, I know what Jace was thinking when he had got you to do that, because first timers, juniors come in conditioned, and then they go, oh shit, this guy's serious. Because you were there was one other guy who was conditioned, Jason's other guy, but the other lot, none of them had shredded glutes or hamstrings. They just had good shape.
So but the positive I'll take of that is I did get shredded. But this year, I mean, I sit in off season like without even trying at like 240 to like 250 sort of weight.
Okay.
So like this year, I should like be probably around the 200, 210 mark. I would have thought.
Okay, sick. Okay, cool.
I'm a bit shorter than Charlie. Charlie's like 6'2". I'm about 5'11", 6'4".
Okay, sick. Well, my last one I came in at 240, but I'm probably gonna come in at I'll probably come in at 240 again, roughly, but like much better. 240. Because I started my prep at like 280 like last time, 282, 283, and then like this time I'll probably be starting it at like 310. So
I'm trying to get back up to the 280s.
Yeah. It's still up that high. It's fucking hard.
Yeah.
So what we'll do, Tom, is we'll jump into like some topics to talk about,
and
some questions and things. So we'll jump straight off with just straight in there with some interesting ones.
Okay.
You're renowned for being a bit of a pro at talking about the dark side.
Yeah.
So we will quiz you on it. What is your most crazy cycle you have done?
Okay, so there's two bits I can spin off from this. So I know the craziest one I've ever seen and the craziest one I've ever done. So the craziest one I've done. So like I don't put I'll disclaimer this completely. I don't ever put my clients on cycles like this. There's such a fucking rumor going around that I'm like, I heard one the other day that made me fucking laugh, right? Like, well, if you work with Tom Hames, apparently you have to promise that you're going to go on gear, which is just amazing. Like, it's so funny. I think that's fantastic. Like, in a disclaimer at the bottom, I swear that I will take roids because you told me to, Tom. Like, fucking, this is amazing. I think that's so funny. Some of my best clients are fucking natural.
You're gonna jab them.
Yeah. When they're sleeping, I come round and I shoot them in a trend when they're not expecting it. Yeah, man, it's funny. But okay, so for example, so I'll go on to mine in a minute. But my super heavyweight guy that I work with, the most he took going in towards what was going to be he was attempting to do a pro qualifier. He unfortunately couldn't make it because he had just had a new son and he was too busy with work and things like that. And I'm not going to mention his name, obviously, but he was taking 2 grams a week total. So it was like, bear in mind he's 300 pounds on stage, shredded. Yeah. 300 pounds, like 290.
How tall is he?
Probably 6'2", 6'3". He's a freak.
That's not
he's got like 22-inch arms, like on stage. Like
I've seen him. I think I've seen him.
Yeah, you probably will have done. He's a fucking monster. Bench is 220 for fucking 10 reps. Like he's just.
Does he train in your gym?
No, he lives miles away from me. I won't say because it's too easy for other people. I'll tell you guys after. But yeah, no, probably maybe with all was like the most we using of growth a day. But you guys will know, and anyone in the knowledge will know, someone who's 300 pounds on stage, or 290 or whatever on stage, taking that much shit, that's fucking nothing. Yeah. Like, that's like no juice whatsoever. So that was, what he took. So that's the most I would realistically get anyone on. And he's so what we did with immediately finished the cycle. Well, I got to the back end of the cycle, and it was like test, NPP, Masteron, growth hormone, and like some insulin. And I had got to a point where I was like, okay, so I'm like 285, 290 here. Like, I look good, my composition's good. I was like, okay, like I want to see what happens. Like, so I had like enough gear for like maybe like 4 more weeks. If I with this planned out cycle that I had thought of, sort of come up with, and I just wanted to genuinely see how much my body could take, like how tolerant I could be, and like what would happen if I did this. So I had a bunch of growth hormone, and I had a bunch of insulin, and I had a bunch of this gear, and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to give it a go, and I'm just going to see what happens. So I took, you're going to like this. I took this I only lasted 2 weeks because I got sick as fuck. Like, I got sick. Like, I got so ill. I couldn't eat my meals. Like, my pip in my fucking everywhere was chronic. Bro, it was so bad. And I was doing Synthol at the time in my arms. So I was having to not use my arms as a sight. So I couldn't use that as a sight. So I was having to fucking shoot the gear up, mate. It was fucking horrendous. But I did 3 grams of test a week. I did 2 grams of Masteron. I did 1 gram of NPP. And then I did 1 gram total weekly of orals, which was Debo and Anadrol. And then I was doing 10 IUs of growth. Yeah, you love this, man. I see the smile. I did 10 IUs of growth a day, and I was doing 200 IUs of insulin a day.
Fuck me.
Yeah. I did it for 2 weeks.
And what was the result of that?
Bro, I couldn't breathe in my sleep. I got apnea really badly. Like, this was so fucked up. Like, my body weight didn't change, but my composition just got ridiculous. Like, my fat just flew off me. Like, but it was so weird because I was like, I was pinching, and I'm like, fuck, like, I'm so lean at the moment. Like, what the fuck? I feel like fucking 8 weeks out. Like, I feel like slim as fuck. But I was like, I looked watery because there's so much fucking test in there. Yeah. And I was like, I'm so bloated, so fucking puffy. The insulin was making me like full as fuck. People in the gym were like, what the fuck, Tom? You look like massive. Like, so it was weird because like my body weight didn't change. Like, I didn't gain weight. Like, I just stayed the same. I just got a better 285, 290. But then I got better for like 10 days, maybe like 9 days, and then I just got so ill. It was so fucked up. I was like eating meals. I got like 3 bites into like chicken and rice, or like chicken burrito with like tortilla wrap with like chicken, rice, and beans and shit in there and whatever, and like veggies and stuff. And I would get like 2 bites in, and I would go, oh, fuck, and I used to start gagging on my meals. Yeah. And then like this is how fucked you. Like, this is when you know your diet's like fucked, like your appetite's fucked. I was eating a cheat meal. I was eating like a pizza or something. I got like 2 slices in. I didn't want to eat it. I was like, I couldn't even eat nice tasting food at that point.
Yeah. It was killed your appetite.
Oh, like so badly. It was so fucked. So I was like, okay, well, I'll take the orals out and I'll see how I do. So I took the orals out and I just carried on running the stupid amount of injectables. And I was just like, no, I feel like shit. This is stupid. I need to stop.
You must have felt like a dartboard.
Yeah. So I would, so because the test, obviously you're doing 10 mil a week, and then the masteron, you're doing 10 mil a week with that. And then because it's an ante, and then obviously the MPP, you're doing 10 mil. So you're doing 30 mil over the course of the week. So I was doing 6 5 mil shots. So I would go quads, and then I would go glutes, and then I would go lats. Or I would split the lats with like a 2.5, and I would do like 2.5 of my shoulders. Yeah. So I would do it like that. So I'd rotate. And then obviously the synthol was going in my arms as well.
So you would what? So you do 5 mil in one injection?
Yeah, I would use a 5 mil barrel in my glutes. Yeah.
Wow. Does that have any?
Yeah, I can't. Well, no, that didn't fuck my glutes, but like I can't do my glutes anymore because of that. But like, yeah, I tried it just to literally see what would happen. Was it smart? No. Would I recommend anyone do it ever? No. Did it actually benefit my physique? Maybe, but not really. Like, because what I did was, when people come off a cycle, they cruise straight away. I was like, there's so much fucking shit in my system. Like, I'm gonna just take 4 weeks off gear, completely. So I took it off, and by the time I came down to do the cruise, that was like, it was probably the right sort of time to do it. But like, I bet like I could have gone like fucking 6 more weeks, and I would have still had loads of shit left in my system. Like,
wow.
Yeah,
I mean,
so again, I would never put a client on that. Like, I'm actually really fucking conservative with my clients. Like honestly, like, any of the guys I've worked with will tell you that, or the girls. Like, I mean, I don't. I'll tell you who doesn't mind me talking about this. So guys know Ross, who I work with.
Yeah, Ross Kerr.
Ross Kerr, yeah. So he didn't go over a gram a week.
Really?
Yeah. He won the Welsh on less than a gram.
Didn't he come second in the PCA British?
And then second at the British, which we don't talk about because I lost my rag at Josh Kinsey's.
That was bollocks. That was bollocks, not a lot.
But he's the Tom. He's God's gift in terms of PCA, isn't he?
Well, I can't speak on that because I already had an argument with him about it. I lost my shit at his brother in the crowd because his brother said, because I said something along the lines of, "You've got this, dude. It's yours all day." Like to Ross, like I'm shouting at him, like, "You got this, man. It's yours all day. Like, you got this. It's so yours, man." Because I genuinely thought it was. And then his brother was like, looked over at me and said something like, "You don't know how fucking wrong you are," to me. And I was like sitting there, and I was like pissed off, and I'm like, okay, just let the fucking result come. You can laugh at it in a minute, whatever. And then obviously Ross gets second, and I was like, man, you know what? Like, I'll just deal with it. Okay, fine, whatever. And what's his name? Not Josh. Jack looked over to me, and he goes, "Oh, I guess he got beat by a classic boy then." Or something to me, like just after he had lost, and I was like, "Do you know what, man?" And I said, I stood up and I had a right fucking go at him, and I threatened to like break his jaw and shit. And I said, like, "Do you want to eat your meal with your brother tonight? Like, I'll take your fucking jaw out, like, you little shit." Like all of this, like, dude, like I was so pissed at him. Ross's dad, who's like a nut himself, like had to literally stop me. He was like holding me back, and my mate behind me was like stopping me. He was like, "Just Tom, calm down." I was like, yeah. So I went skits, and that wasn't cool. Like, he was all amped up, and I was amped up, and it was like, I shouldn't have had a go. I shouldn't have, whatever. I should have just took it. But
the thing is that when you're a coach in that environment, you want your clients to be best. You're going to be shouting.
And man. Like, anyone knows me. Like, at shows, I'm like rooting for my clients. Like, fuck, I'm like, you can hear my booming voice over everyone. Like, I love it, man, because I put so much time and so much effort into them, and I don't. This is the thing. Like, Jace is the same. Like, if someone loses or does well, we fucking love it. Like, we love it when they do well, or when they lose. We really take it to heart, and I try now my best to not be like biased, but it's so difficult, isn't it? Like, when you're looking at something as well that you're like, that is bullshit. Like, don't get me wrong, like with Josh, like Josh has got a fantastic physique. He's fantastic. Yeah, he is very, very good physique. And he does deserve to be, like an IFBB pro in classic eventually. Like, classic is his thing, right? Yeah. But Ross is a bodybuilder. Like, that's a bodybuilder's physique. This is just my opinion, obviously. Yeah. But it's round, 3D, in your face, fucking dense muscle with good conditioning to go off. Now, Josh might have been the slightest bit tighter, but Ross outweighed Josh by fucking 2 stone. Like 2 stone, I think. Like, and they're the same height. Like, there's only so much that shape can really carry you. At the end of the day, Ross has got a beautiful shape. So has Josh.
It must have been close.
Say that again. Yeah, it must have been like a fucking 2 points or a point or something.
Yeah.
Like, it is what it is. Like, I can't do anything about it now. All I can do is make Ross better and come back and try.
Yeah, in my opinion.
Is Ross going to be going for his pro card?
Yeah, eventually. We spoke about that today, actually, on the phone. We had like a 40-minute chat.
In my opinion, it's bodybuilding. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, like if it was a classic class, like Josh every day of the week, 24 stand and hands down 365. He is the best classic bodybuilder in the UK, in my opinion, within the PCA. But now he's moved up to class 3. Like, personally, I think he needs to put more size on to do it. But the judges clearly didn't feel that he did, so that's their, that's them, isn't it? But
it comes down to apples or oranges. What do you prefer?
Right, exactly. And obviously, I'm biased. Like, Josh is a good bodybuilder, and he's a nice dude. He was helpful to me at one point. Like, he was a nice guy. And his posing is beautiful. We do have to admit that. Like, his posing is fucking good. It's what it is, though. Anyway, what more questions you got, guys? That was a good one.
Nah, cool. What about Charlie? Do you want to do the one about peaking?
Yeah, let's do a peak week question.
Oh, yeah.
Right, so how do you tend to peak your clients in general? Do you tend to go for like a conservative approach, or do you go more aggressive with drawing people out? Like, what's your best peak week?
Okay, cool. So if we talk about like how I would get things primed up first. So peaking, it doesn't really have to be a week, does it? It can be 4 or 5 days. It can be 10. It can be whatever they desperately need. So for a guy who's like, so you've got a guy who's like quite a husky sort of build. He struggles to get down in condition. Like, he's not filling out he's very filled out. He looks full all the way through. He's just getting, now he's in the last stages of the diet. He's slowly getting to the condition that you need him to be in. Okay. Yep. Say you've got a guy like that, like, who's quite short probably usually. They're not going to need a ton of carbs to fill out because their physique is already quite full. So what I would probably do is I would probably lean more towards loading them with fats. And loading them over a course of a week, because if you think about it realistically, like, fats don't hold fluid, they can't retain water. Yet you can fill out your intramuscular glycogen triglyceride stores with fats but you have to do it over a longer period of time. And you obviously have to remember at this point, you can't really be burning them in the gym too hard. Like, depletion workouts don't technically work, because if you were completely depleted, you wouldn't actually be able to move your muscles at all. So the only thing that you could actually deplete your entire body's glycogen stores from would be running a marathon. Like, when people collapse at the end of a marathon, that's because every individual store
they can't move, can they?
It's gone. Yeah, because they physically cannot move. Well, bodybuilders don't train to that extent in a gym. Yeah, we train hard, but we don't push the glycogen stores like that. So all you need to be doing with your workouts in towards the last few sessions is keep them minimal, move some blood around, stretch the muscle out a bit, get a little bit of a light pump, and then just to make yourself physically feel a bit better about how you're looking, and then just do that earlier on in the day, then start putting the food in that you need to, see how you look the next day, and then basically what I would do, obviously looking at them, is like adjust their diet based on that. So like if I'm looking at like a client who's okay, so it's they're ready, right, and they're like 3 days out from a show, I'll just switch them back over to the diet that they were doing previously, but maybe just keep the fats in a little bit higher. Or if they are like obviously like a taller, lankier, thinner, sort of shredded to fuck guy, you can fill them out with a good amount of carbohydrates if they're ready, 3 or 4 days out, just switch them back to their diet and maybe just trickle in a few extra carbs. Make sure that they're staying off their legs. They don't want to put fluid in their legs like fuck. One thing I get the guys to do a lot, if their legs spill over really badly, I get them to go and lie backstage early on on the floor, sit down a bunch of towels, raise their legs up for like 2 hours, just sit there and text, and I'll tell them, I'll be like, just relax, put music on, whatever. I'll come back and I'll sort you out, and I'll make sure.
That's one of the biggest mistakes I made. It was my first show, because I was running about.
Trying to get
full blood, and they weren't as much as they were like weeks out when they were just resting.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. When you wake up in the morning, your legs are fucking separated. You want them to look like that on stage, don't you? So I try and recreate the same scenario for the backstage. I'm like, I want you to do nothing. And, obviously, okay, so we'll go back to peaking a little bit here because you guys asked about that. So I mean, like loading with water and stuff like that, like hypothetically it would work, but a lot of the time it doesn't. Like a lot of people, have been smashing that massive amount of water all the way through the prep anyway, simply to fill their stomach. So when you come to do it at the back end of a prep, it won't really do anything. So what I get people to do with water, I'm not big on water loading ever. I get people to stay on the same rough amount that they have been, maybe slightly elevate it. Then we'll get them to, on the day of the show, I'll actually get them to drink like 2 liters as soon as they wake up.
Really?
So yeah. So what it does, but I get them to drink it within the first hour of waking.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what they'll do is they'll chug 2 liters, maybe even more, right? Maybe 4 liters, yeah, if they're a bigger dude, and it will get them pissing like fuck all day. But at that point, that's when I cut the water.
Yeah.
And then I might stagger the meals a little bit. Like Joe Jeffrey taught me this. He's fucking good with peaking. So then I might get them to do like the sodium and the potassium and things like that. Well, we'll take those out as the actual timing for the show comes closer. So they might actually just be on protein only going in towards the actual competition. Because if you're carbs up from like 2 days ago or the day before and you've done fuck all training, those carbs haven't fucked off into the middle of nowhere. You've still got carbs in your system.
Yeah.
So if say they've eaten say they're doing carbs up until the day before the show. Say they're doing 700 grams one day, 500 grams the next day, and then it's the day of the show, right? On the day of the show, I'm only going to get them to eat protein because protein itself will cause diuresis. It'll get them to piss more. And then if you've done that loading in the morning with the water, you're going to get them to piss like fuck all the way through the day anyway.
Yeah.
If you're going to do that sort of approach, always trial it like 2 weeks out. Don't do it on the day of the show. Don't chug 4 liters of water on the day of the show. Because the time you get to 3 o'clock, if you haven't pissed like shit, it's because you're not in condition, or your body doesn't really respond very well to that.
So what do you like in terms of like loading, like the few days prior? Would you keep the food sources the same, or would you think like cookies?
Like never fuck around with anything mad. Like don't get me wrong. Like if their stomach's like iron, okay. So for an example, Brandon Harding, right?
Yeah.
So he looks fucking sick after a cheat meal. So just give him a cheat meal the night before a show. His stomach is crazy. Like he eats meals and then walks into the gym and trains with a full load of chicken and rice in his gut. Whereas like if I did that, I'd throw up. He can go and squat after eating a big fucking meal, but I can't do that. So he would be a different example. But a lot of the time with peaking people, man, it's like pay attention to them all the way through the prep. Like what works for them, what looks best. Okay, like one of my guys, Jordan, like he looked sick after we did like a burger and fries, tub of sorbet. His stomach didn't get blown out, but it did in the evening. But the next day it was all tight and lean again, and he was vascular as fuck. He was dry. I was like, sick. We'll just do that the day before the show, man. So just play around with what works well with them.
Yeah. What about diuretics or anything like that?
Okay, so diuretics, hypothetically, if I was going to suggest diuretics, which I wouldn't do because that'd be illegal. If I was going to suggest things, would be things like Diazide is always a good one to go for. Okay, it's safe, it's simple if you know what you're doing. Like real Diazide. I think we chatted about this, didn't we, Jay?
Yeah.
Because you used hydrochlorothiazide.
I did.
Yeah. HCTZ. That Diazide itself is like a combo diuretic, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
3 in 1. So I mean, realistically, like if you get the lower dose ones and you use like half a tablet, like the night before, and then if you look at yourself in the morning, have you pissed loads overnight? No. Yeah. Okay, well when you get water load in the morning with 2 liters of water, pop another one then, like another half then. That would be the best way to go about it. I think loop diuretics have their place, but they're so fucking like difficult to use. It's such a fucking nightmare when you get them wrong, because they work on the loop of Henle and they stop reabsorption of sodium, they stop reabsorption of potassium because they aren't potassium sparing. So if you've got you guys know about like sliding filament theory, so sodium causes a twitch and a contraction of the muscle, potassium relaxes it. So if you have to have a balance of the two. So when people are like loading, if they've loaded on potatoes and stuff like that, and the potassium reservoir, so to speak, is built up, is decent, so you can probably get away with like a loop diuretic like Lasix, but you like sometimes like that shit goes wrong. Like I've seen people ruin their physique in 6 hours with a Lasix. Like ruin it. Like they've gone from being disgustingly peeled to looking like shit, like looking 6 or 8 weeks out. I'm like, what the fuck have you done? It's crazy, and it takes like weeks for it to come back. Like if people are like doing shows back to back. Have you guys seen this? Like when you if you take a Diazide for one, the rebound.
I never took one.
Oh, okay.
I just used vitamin C and caffeine tablets.
Oh, sick. Okay, cool. That's
that happened to me bad, Tom. I did a show a week apart, and oh my god, I was going to put out the second one. Basically, I ballooned.
You did it for right. So this is the thing. So if I've got
10 kilos.
Jesus wept. Holy shit.
I did 2 hours cardio for like 4 days in peak week to get off.
Oh my God. Did it come off?
Yeah, it came off, but I was like slightly spilled for my second show, but I was a heck of a lot fuller. So it kind of like balanced out a little bit.
Yeah, so the rebound effect that you're getting from a diazide anyway, or any diuretic, it will fill you out. It will, whatever, like subcutaneous water. It ain't good. It's not muscle glycogen. It's fucking water. It's not going to do you any favors. And the problem with it as well is, man, they can mess up your stomach because realistically, like you need a good amount of fluid in your gut to be able to transport nutrients properly. But if that fluid's fucking elsewhere, or like you're excreting it, whatever, like I ate loads of shit after the 2016 Saxon, and I had taken 2 diazides. I was an idiot. Yeah. I took one the night before, and then I took one in the morning. And I was eating shit in the evening, and my stomach was so bloated. I didn't shit for like 2 days afterwards because I was like so fucked up. So I was so bloated and so fucked up from all this junk I've been eating. And then when I finally did actually go to the toilet, it was like real bad. But like it was like the bioproduction in your stomach actually gets a bit messed up from it, because that's like obviously salts. So the diuretic can actually mess around that a bit. So if you haven't got that going in, what happens is your shit just comes out fucking grey. Like it comes out like white or grey, because there's no bioproduction actually moving in with it to mix. So that when it's going through the large intestine, it's not being absorbed properly. That's why you get so blown up, because nothing's moving through smoothly. It's like sticky grey. It's like horrible. Like the amount of bikini girls that have that and don't tell anyone until like honestly, like bro, like the amount of shit they eat after a show, like because they've been on 600 fucking calories, right? To get shredded, and then they go, oh God, finally I can eat donuts, I can eat this, blah blah blah. Oh, that coach told me to take a diuretic. I was, they turn up shredded and whatever, they do well. Mate, they're fucked for like a week afterwards. That's why none of them post. They just repost the fucking pictures from the show. Yeah. Oh, look how good I looked on the day. And they're fucking 8 months pregnant. They look 8 months pregnant.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, that's on.
That's a good protocol.
What about training, like in terms of, so with like the peak things, do you like taper down the training at all, or would you
massive. No, taper it down. No, it's because think about it, like when you train, you're pumped, but it's still inflammation. It's still inflammation of the muscle tissue. You need to nullify that going in towards a comp. Like reduce inflammation, reduce stress, keep them nice and chilled going in. If they're stressing, just get them to calm down as much as possible. Keep themselves mentally busy going in towards it. As for training, obviously just bits. Like maybe like a chest day on the Monday, back on a Tuesday, Wednesday maybe some shoulders, Thursday maybe the lightest arm session, and then stop it. I tell them, I say go in 30 minutes, spin the weights around, do a little bit of shit, do a little few curls, push downs, whatever, and then get out. I don't want you there for
Yeah, I mean, it's I guess there's different ways of like coaches approach it. Because with me, so Jace told me I trained the day before. Obviously, it wasn't training. It was like I went to the gym there and literally it's got like an upper body pump.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's just I think he worded like shuffling around like the nutrients to get the food in.
That's essentially what I do. But remember, Jace does it like that, which it works. But he knows how to do it like that. I get them to load a bit early so that we have some playroom. So if we're loading up with carbs, I would make sure that we do it a bit early so that we can just trickle them down into the actual comp itself. Yeah. Whereas Jace will like load people like real close to the comp.
Yeah. So like
both will work. You just have to know what you're doing with them.
So you like load on like the Wednesday and the Thursday, then reduce.
Yeah. So say the show's on a Saturday, I'd get them to do the most that they're going to do on the Wednesday.
Yeah.
Look at them the next day. How are you looking? Play it by ear then.
Yeah. I think that's
no peak is the same for any individual, or it has to change. So.
Yeah, 100%.
Awesome.
Next question.
Go ahead.
Let me just get it up. Right. This is a good one for beginners, for like starting cycles and stuff.
Okay.
So what would be a starting cycle, and how would you progress these cycles from each one? On your first to the second to the third, like what's a good format to?
Okay, so I'm a little bit different with that. Like if I was, again, hypothetically going to do that with clients. So so say a client starts out on 250 milligrams of test a week, right? This is say you got your typical 21, 22-year-old lad who's got into bodybuilding. They want to compete. They've built a really good base. Blah blah blah. They want to compete within the next year or 2 years or whatever.
Yeah.
So you start with that 250 mgs of test a week. realistically, what you can do, and people are going to turn their nose up at this, but what you can do is you can keep them on those sort of dosages for a long period of time, not necessarily cruise them, okay, because it's not really a cruise, but watch their health over the course of like 6, 8 months, 12 months, whatever, and slowly increment the dosages up to a point. So say you start on 250 test, okay, and you run that for 10 weeks. All right, okay, how does the blood work look on that? Perfect, cool. Let's go again, another 10 weeks. Let's do 350 this time, or 400. Okay, how does that look? All right, cool, they're fine. Okay, cool. Let's do 250 test and 150 deca, and we'll run that for like another 10, 12 weeks, 15 weeks, whatever. Okay, how's the blood work looking? Oh, it's looking a little bit off. Let's drop the deca out and see if it gets better. Then you would, maybe do a test with a bit of master on. Okay, blood work look fucking sick at the end of this. Fine, they're fine. Keep pushing. So you can manipulate a long cycle and base it just simply on their blood work, and if they're still making gains and still making progress. A lot of the time, people turn their nose up, but like a first cycle is going to be one of your best. It's going to be one of the best ones you do. So just extend it as long as needed to keep milking those gains and keep progressing. Then when you get to a point when your blood work does look bad, physically you're not really growing, if you're not doing blood work frequently, because I know a lot of people get annoyed with that, then if you're not doing it frequently, look at the actual individual themselves and like, okay, well, your progress is just really stalled. Let's cruise you, reset, do a little bit of a 4-6 week mini sort of tidy up the food, and then start pushing again after that, and maybe push the dosages higher then if you need it. That's the way I would go about it. Like, you don't need to, really excessively like make leaps and jumps. Like, I know people that are like, oh, I did 250 tests my first cycle. Now I'm going to do 500. Now I'm going to do 750. Now I'm going to do a gram. Now I'm going to do 1500. It's like, well, no, hang on, chill. You don't need to fucking do that. Like, you can do the same sort of things over and over again and still get good results. You just have to get yourself reset a little bit more and then push again from there. So like that's how I would look at someone doing a first cycle. But doing that, you need a coach, because if you don't have outside information, you're going to start going, oh well, I can just increase this and I can just increase this a little bit more and a little bit more, and before you know it, the person's on fucking 2 grams of steroids and they've not come off for 2 years, which is just not the right way to go about it.
That reminds me actually of mine and Jake's, because we did it stupidly off someone's advice in a gym.
I did a stupid one for my first one as well.
It was way too high for a first one, really.
What did you take?
600.
Okay, yeah, that's pushing it a little bit, but it's not mega.
But like, I still think I would have made the exact same progress doing something similar to what you just said.
Yeah.
So it just shows, isn't it, really? Like, just don't listen to people in the gym. Listen to well-known coaches. Learn from a bodybuilding coach, but learn from people who are like knowledgeable on the subject as well. And there's plenty of ways to do it. I mean, the rage, a year ago was high dose deca, don't bother with, or low dose test or no test at all. That was a real big like thing, wasn't it? Like everyone was.
That was JP.
I didn't get that.
No.
Did JP do that?
Yeah. Jordan did that for a while. Yeah. And then obviously, like saying low dose test and high dose anabolics. Well, that works for some people if they don't really respond very well to tests. If you aromatize test like really fucking heavily, put some, do a different compound like Primo or whatever. However, I don't know, did we speak about this with EQ?
Yeah. Said, like,
I am not a fan of EQ. Yeah, I'm not a fan of it. The reward ratio to the risk from EQ is not favorable in my opinion. Like if you use like a low dose of Tren, you're gonna fucking get results, but the side effects are bad. But the results are still so good that it's probably worth doing it sometimes. Like, isn't it? Like if you do 200 mgs of test, 200 mgs of Tren, and say like 200 mgs of Masteron, that's a good prep cycle. Like, that's a good cycle to use going in. You're going to probably be okay on that, as long as you don't tolerate Tren really badly. But like EQ itself, like the amount of the red blood cell count, the anxiety, like the fact that you need to take a fucking gram or 700 a week to get anything out of it, you are pushing it a bit with it. And I would prefer to just opt for a drug like Primo. Like, it's more expensive, but like it's bodybuilding, it's always expensive. Test maybe some MPP or DECA, Masteron, or opt out the Masteron for some Primo. Like that's a decent course to run. You're sticking with the basics there. I think equipoise itself, I just never used it with anyone really. Like if they like it and they use it a lot, I'll be like, well, if you want to take it, that's fine. But like when I've taken it before, personally, I don't really. Have you guys used it and liked it?
I'm on it now.
You're on it at the moment. Do you get on with it?
Yeah. Do you know what? I actually really enjoy it. Well, not enjoy it, but I've noticed it. But I think a lot of my sort of improvements recently is because my body's just completely recomped because I was having like an off phase from bodybuilding. As soon as I added anabolics back in, so I think I'm doing like 500 test, 500 EQ, and 50 mega anabar. And I've just like recon really well from there. My strength's gone up, everything's gone up.
Okay.
But,
so yeah, no, fair enough. Well, if you, like I said, if you get on with it, because I remember Charlie, you said you used it, but like if you get on with it, then yeah. But like I would never, like none of my clients really use it. Like this is kind of funny. Like the guy who sells stuff, like who my clients use. So obviously I know him because I put them in contact with him. So this is funny because he's like, I keep buying fucking stock. I've got loads of stock of EQ and it's just not gone. And I'm like, I don't put anyone in EQ. And he's like, so no one buys it off him. Like he's like hardly anyone buys it off him. Like, you know, so he's like, I go through fucking 30 bottles of test a week or whatever. But I don't ever sell one EQ maybe. I'm like, oh, fucking hell, okay.
That's me. That's me.
That's you.
Oh god.
But
maybe I better switch that up then. But I mean, it's been going fine.
No, like it's good. Like, but
I think
like
at some point I'll start adding in like the harsh things like tren or master.
But like one thing I'm big on is save that to the back end of it. You just like I had a guy on Deca up until 4 weeks out. Because because it's a conditioning. The conditioning drugs, they're cosmetic. They create a look, and you only need that look for the show. So you don't need to start trying to get that look at fucking 20 weeks out. Like I've seen people taking. You know, like maybe like the earliest I would put in drugs like tren and stuff is maybe like 12 weeks out, maybe 10, maybe 8, maybe, you know, for some people 6. Like if you like realistically, it does fuck your sleep, like doesn't it? And your sleep's fucked at the back end of a prep. So
100%.
if you can avoid that, you can create a better physique just by them getting good sleep.
Also, you know Harry Harris.
I do. Yeah, I do know of him. Yeah.
He ran Deca all the way out to his show for the British finals.
Yeah.
So,
and he had striated glutes on stage.
Yeah, exactly. So people are like, just hold loads of water, just like
no, you're just still fat.
Yeah, pretty much.
100%.
That's sick. Yes. What else have we got on the questions?
Right. Should we throw last question, or do you want to do a couple more?
Yeah, go ahead if you want. Whatever you want to do.
Right. Next one. Off-season opinions on body composition. Do you tend to favour pushing body weight up as high as possible while keeping like as lean as you can to pushing out like?
Yeah, that would be ideal. But I get people to push their physique to the point where I'm looking at it and I'm going, you're just gaining fat now. Especially people who are using drugs like growth hormone and insulin and whatever, because you need to maintain insulin sensitivity and your actual response to the insulin itself. Otherwise, there's no fucking point. You're just going to get fat, which is a mistake I've made myself before. But that's a good topic actually, insulin and growth hormone. We can go over that if you want. I'm quite big on those compared to pushing dosages. So using that, like you know, like using that as a model, I look at the actual individual themselves and go, you know, we need to keep you a little bit tighter. We need to work on this. You know, we need to push this up a little bit. But at some points, it is needed. Like at 1 or 2 times in your bodybuilding career, so to speak, you are going to have to push to the point where you don't like your look. Like you are going to have to push heavy. You are going to have to push big and hard. But every time you go back to that body weight again, once you diet it down, you slowly creep your way back up to that weight again. Diet down, slowly creep your way. But you know, it's going to be better every time you do it. Like you're 260. Like Charlie, you're 260 now. Like it's probably better than your 260 that you've been before, right?
Yeah. So over my off seasons, like because I've done like over a year off season now, since I've come down and up a few times, and every time I go back up, I'm better. So
exactly, that's it. And you have to just rinse and repeat that constantly. And one of the guys that I'm working with at the moment, he's got like another 10 pounds he can be up before he maxes his weight in the classic class. With IFBB, he's already got a lovely shape. You know, he's got a real small waist. Like he looks good. Like he's just got to fill out his chest and stuff. I repeat. We're like 2 weeks away from doing that again with him. Like, I look at his physique, I go, okay, cool. Like, you know, are you still able to eat? Are you still able to get the food in? And he's like, I'm forcing it down. I'm like, hold on for 2 more weeks, and then we'll start chipping away. Diet down, do like an 8-week aggressive cut, and then we'll do like a 20-week off season, and then we'll do like 8 weeks aggressive, and then we'll push again. And you just rinse and repeat it based on like how they're getting along. But for him, obviously, he needs to be 10 pounds up because he wants to go for his pro card in CrossFit.
Do you think it's important to like hold a certain weight for a certain amount of time?
Yeah, you do need to get there. Like, but that's when you're maxed out, isn't it? Like, you don't need to hold it for months. Like, you need to hold it for like a good, like, you know, maybe like 4, 6, 8 weeks at the most. But like 6 months of staying the same weight, you're just fucking not progressing. Like, you need to, you know, unless your composition is changing drastically. But like, so, you know, for example, if I got, okay, so say I had like a super heavyweight bodybuilder, right? And I get them to like, say 280 or something, or 270. And they're like, I want to sort of hold this weight. I'm like, okay, well, I want you to stay there as well, but you look like shit. So we're going to keep you there. So we'd play around with the drug cycle a lot, and we'd just keep them there based on that. So that's when growth hormone and things would come in, and using like IGF and stuff like that.
What kind of level, second question, what kind of level would you start to look at maybe introducing insulin?
Growth insulin. People who want to move up a weight class. Like, so if you're like, say you want to move into like the two bros or something in the future or whatever.
That's
like,
what I mean,
So say you're like, you know, let me think of someone who's an example, some good level competitor. Similar structure to you. Oh, Brad Willis. Brad, right. Good bodybuilder, young lad, That's a kid who needs to do an off-season for a long period of time with a good amount of growth hormone and insulin. Because he's a long, lanky, tall frame, like us three, right? We've all got that long, stretched out, tall frame, right? Bodybuilding is a short man's game in the beginning and a tall man's game at the end.
Great saying.
Because Blue Taylor taught me that one. Because he's like fucking 5'2" and he's like 200 pounds on stage. He's a freak. But the like Brad, for example, or you know anyone of that sort of structure, he needs to spend a long time really fucking getting dense and thick. Because he did the Brits last year, and he got like dead last in the supers. Like, but that was because his frame wasn't filled in. He was the most conditioned guy up there, but because he just wasn't thick enough and dense enough and big enough. But he's young, he's got time.
But when you come up against Laurie Carr, who's like,
well, you come up against Laurie Carr, you're fucked, aren't you?
280.
He's a monster.
It's huge.
He's got like 24-inch arms.
Oh man, I thought they were like that. He's a big boy. He's a big boy.
That's when you got to think like, I'm 20 years old. Am I a two bro show? Am I ready to be? No. You know what I mean? Like, you know, if you like Rye Crowley, like I speak to Rye a lot. He's big though, isn't he?
He's a big dude. He's like 280 on stage, 270 on stage, whatever. Now I spoke to him a couple of times, and I said to him, I'm like, you know, I said, Rye, you just need to bring up your fucking arms. Like, don't like everything else is there. But they're spoiling the shape that he's got on stage, and they're making him just look like you know, he's already like a big dude. He's got a fucking massive chest. His glutes are already shredded at like, you know, 6 weeks into his diet. Like, condition isn't an issue for him. He's got so much muscle that he gets into condition like that, like it's plump and he's there. Because it's so much of a machine churning through all that food and stuff. But his issue is, you know, just same as Brad's and same as, you know, any other tall, younger guy. It's going to take us another fucking 5-6 years to fill out that frame. But when it is, you're going to make the small guys look small.
Yeah.
Because when you're 280 on stage and like shredded, you look like Laurie. And, you know, and that's what wins shows. Like, he walked the Amateur Olympia. He walked it. Like, he was a fucking freak. So
did you watch that show?
I didn't. I had Emily Brandon the day before at the women's one, but then the blokes one, I didn't actually get a chance to. I didn't get a chance to watch.
Yeah, I bet he's an absolute freak in person.
I've seen him in person. Yeah. The freakiest bodybuilder I've ever seen in person though is Rob Taylor.
What? Muscle unit.
Yeah. His legs are just stupid. They're stupid. You not met him in person?
No, Charlie, you watched him in the 2017 British.
But he's not the same then as he is now, is he?
But that's when he diced down to the under 90s.
Yeah, I remember that.
Ooh.
Fuck.
Yeah.
He was in the same class as Owen Powell.
Yeah.
Like that was the last UKBFF British fight
2017
one.
Yeah. He was a heavyweight that time. He was the top end of the heavyweights this time. That time. Bro, like his legs are so fucking mental. Like it's just stupid. It looks like his quads are in someone else's class. It's like, oh yeah, Rob's quads won the light heavies and he won the heavies. Like, you know, it's like fucking, you know, it's just stupid. Like,
how do you think he'll be in the pro ranks?
Yeah, good if he can keep his head screwed on and everything. He does lose his marbles a bit sometimes, but that's only because he's got stresses of like work and life and shit and everything.
Like 212.
But when his head's on, he's a weapon and no one's ready.
Yeah, he's a machine.
Yeah, he's good guy.
Would you
fucking hard as fuck as well?
212?
He's a nut. He's fucking hard as fuck as well. I wouldn't want to mess with him.
Some of the things he puts on Instagram is like, I saw. Do you remember when his car got locked up?
Yeah, I've seen that.
Like,
Bro, he's smashing up the fucking game.
Yeah.
Bro, like I think he did time. Briefly.
Yeah.
Would you say like his sort of physique would be better in 212 or like open? Because I know
because he's got so much fucking muscle on that frame. To keep that fullness and to keep the freak factor, if he goes under, he won't be good enough in the pros as a 212. He needs to be an
yo-yos. He can't decide what he wants to do.
Yeah, he's got the ability to be a good level.
How tall is he?
Like 5'6", 5'7".
Yeah. Cool. Do you want to touch upon a bit more like sort of IGF? I mean, I don't know.
Oh yeah, growth and IGF and stuff like that. Yeah, of course. Yeah, no worries at all. So, to be fair, it's one of the things that brought my physique up from being like shit to less shit. But it was using growth. I used it consecutively for like a year and a half because I never used to be able to afford it. I used to work as a bouncer, so I was making peanuts. But when I started getting into coaching more, obviously my income goes up, and I was able to afford it more. But yeah, I used it consistently through for almost a year solid, and it just changes your composition completely. So I was using. So what I would do was I would do my cycles and stuff. I would use growth hormone in my cruises, and then I would do insulin alongside higher dose growth hormone in my blasts.
Yeah.
So I like Lantus insulin, Lantus long-acting insulin. Any insulin will work, but Lantus in itself alongside frequently dosed growth hormone throughout the day, that's a game changer, man. That's a game changer. That'll take your physique from fucking, like, if you're like coming in at like 220, 230 on stage, like you'll be 250 on stage if you do it properly. You really will, because like growth really is the key. Like you always used to see it back in the day on the forums. Like everyone was like, "Oh, these pros are just taking high dose growth," and I could see where the theory comes from because it does change your physique drastically. Yeah. But I used very, very high dose growth hormone going into my last prep that I did, and I think that's what helped me come in at like 240, like a good 240.
Yeah. Do you mind me asking, like, go on, Tom?
Yeah, go on. No, it's all right, man. Yeah, it's fine.
How, like, you said you run it high and obviously it's expensive. Like, how much are you talking, like, a month we can spend on growth hormone?
At the moment now, I do 2 IUs in the morning, 2 IUs in the evening. But on the prep, I did 15 IU a day.
So, like, cost-wise, are we looking at sort of roughly?
I kind of lucky. I get mine relatively cheap because I get it from China. I get it like directly imported.
Yeah.
Ansimone.
No, because Ansimone's more expensive than the stuff that I get. So I get it's HPLC tested, so it always comes back as fucking like well over what it's supposed to be as well. So it's actually overdose. Yeah, it's called Meditrope, and it's from a guy called TP. So I get it. It comes in like a little white box, and it's just got like a batch number on each one, and then the tops based on. So you've got like the yellow tops, which are like 10 IUs. You've got like mauve tops, which are like 15 IUs. Then you've got like mauves, which are 12s. Black tops, which are like 15, but actually came back at 18 IU. So they overdosed them massively. So I've got a bunch of those in, and then they've got the gold tops, which are 20 IU, but came back as 21s. So,
that's really good.
Is that
generic? Generic.
So basically generic, like Chinese growth. But they came back, they're good. So you're paying I think you're paying about 100. I think you're paying about is it 100 quid? About 95 quid for 180 IU, which is
that's good.
Maybe less than that. I don't know. But you have to buy like fucking I think it's like 5 or 6 kits at a time. To get it at that price. It might be more. I think I just ended up buying like 10 kits. So just because you're gonna have to pay it out. Why pay it out in small amounts? Just buy it all at once. So yeah. But the morph tops is the ones I was using for my prep. I was doing that full one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Which was excessive. But so every 10 days I was probably going through about 80 to 90 quid. Probably be about 85 quid's worth of prep.
Yeah.
So you spend about £8.50 a day on growth. Yeah. Which is, to be fair, like when people, well, think about it. If people smoke cigarettes, they're going through that. So.
Yeah,
that's true.
And what about like IGF and things like that, Tom?
So IGF itself, like IGF, LR3 and IGF, Increlex IGF and all of those, there's a real debate whether they actually do what they say they're supposed to do, because they don't have a binding protein. So IGF needs a binding protein to actually bind to a muscle cell, like to a receptor into a cell.
Yeah.
It doesn't have it. So for a kid, it will create like who needs IGF, it will create like systemic IGF, which isn't what you need. You want localized, really. Like you want within the muscle tissue itself. You could inject it in that area, but it's kind of a weird one. It wouldn't. It'll give you a pump, but like I don't know if it would actually build the tissue in that area. You can create IGF like systemic and like intramuscular, like muscular IGF, like hypertrophy IGF, with using insulin and growth hormone together. So that's why I would favor like a long-acting insulin, like Atlantis, because you would do it like, say you do it like 5 days a week and have the weekend off it. Then you would do like say 2 IUs or 3 IUs of growth, like 2 to 3 times a day, however you're going to dose it alongside the IGF. That's a very, very powerful combination for building tissue. Yeah. Very, very powerful. That really will. And you don't have to use excessive dosages of anabolics alongside that to actually get very, very beneficial results. And it will probably be better for your health in the long run as long as you manage your blood glucose properly. Because like if you're taking like fucking, like realistically, if you're taking like 3 grams of steroids a week, you could take probably like fucking 1.5 grams or 1,200 mgs a week of the same sort of compounds, but just take growth insulin alongside, and you'll probably do less. You'll probably do less damage to your health.
Yeah.
But it really is the game changer. Like in the future, if you guys decide that you're going to push up and you really want to take it like to the next level, that's where your investment would have to go.
I mean, that's for sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, Charlie, but my goal first is obviously to win a British title or something. And then when I want to take that step to like the 2 bros or pro qualify, I'm talking years down the line, few years down the line, then that's when I'll start looking at it. When I need to make that next jump.
So what's the plan for you guys? Like, what's your plan, Jake, with your show? Like,
for me, if shows are on, I hope shows are on this year. Do those, sort of October time, if that's when they're next on. If not, or like you are. Did you hear that? Sorry.
Yeah.
If not, like you are with your clients, for the Barbarian, I will just rebound and then probably do the Saxon.
Okay, cool. I like that. Yeah.
So
you're basing it on what goes on with the shows.
Yeah. So I mean, do you reckon the Saxon will be on next year? It must be.
I fucking hope so, because I always bring a fucking massive team to that.
Yeah. So hopefully like the Saxon.
Dude, I had 8 competitors in that one year. That was fucking crazy.
So I'm still a junior. So I've got like.
How old are you now?
22.
Oh, sick. Okay, so when are you 23? Because you can probably do Saxon next year as a junior.
Yeah, I can.
Sick, bro. That's the one to do. If you want recognition, that's the fucking one to win the juniors at.
Yeah.
Like if you look at the list of the juniors that have won that, like that's some fucking top class bodybuilders.
Yeah. So that's the goal. So that, and then probably the PCA British finals. But when I do the British, I'll be if they're late. So my birthday is 19th of October, so I'll be 24. And then normally after that, they're normally like 24th, 25th of October. So I won't be a junior. So, do you know what I mean? I don't know where to go with that.
Do the Saxon, do the Saxon, get the win there, in my opinion, because that's unless the shows don't, go, if they don't come along this year, definitely do the Saxon. If they do, then base it on what you want to do. But the actual winning the Saxon, because like fucking hell, I'm trying to think who's actually
Lewis White won it last year.
Lewis is phenomenal. Yeah. That front lat spread in front of my bicep is fucking silly. Then what else is he? Who else has done it as well? Who else has won it?
We watched it in 2018, and an Eastern European lad won it.
Oh yeah, he was a fucking monster.
Yeah, he was getting tanned up in the toilets before.
Yeah. Bro, he fucking walked into the fucking athletes meeting in his tan.
Me and Charlie had our best friend doing a physique show there, and he walked in his pants. like just being tanned up.
Yeah, he's just like, we go now, we go. Yes, we compete. Okay, cool.
Literally, it's just like he'd been flown over in that morning and just turn up and then do it.
Brilliant.
But that was, I'm pretty sure that was against like Jake Clark and Jack Jones.
Yeah, Jake. What's happened with him? Is he gone?
I think he's gone.
I don't think he's competing.
Dude, because he was good. He was
He was good.
shredded.
Yeah, he was with Muscle Unit.
Yeah, Rob helped him. Yeah, and he got that was close. That one was. But then who else was doing that year? Steve did that year. Jack Jones did that year. And then obviously going from that, who was the year before? Reese McDonald. No,
Reese.
No, Reese was 2016 because Reese beat me at 2016 when I did it.
We watched Reese win the juniors in 2017 PCA.
The British.
That one.
British, yeah, beat Dean White.
Yeah, I know.
I remember that.
That wouldn't happen now. That wouldn't happen now. Dean's too fucking good.
Dean will be pro soon.
Dean was fucked. Dean had done 40 weeks of dieting.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, I watched that, and we watched it both, Charlie, and Dean was big, but Reese was shredded.
Yeah.
Dean was off, though. Dean was off, and he knows he was, and Ryan told him he was, and then he just was like, right, rest, relax, sort himself out. But the problem with Dean is, and Dean's a lovely guy, and he knows exactly how to diet, and he's sound, and he's a good judge. He knows what he's doing. He's only got one kidney. So when he pushes his body too far, his body will just rebel. It will just fucking it'll kick back. Yeah, like he can't take it to the extreme that he would want to, because his body will just go, no, fuck off. Like,
He's working with Ben Chow.
Say that again.
He's working with Ben Chow now, isn't he?
Yeah, Ben helps him.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Awesome.
Have you guys got any more questions, or are we all done?
That's pretty much ran up.
That's the main ones, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's done.
Well, thank you very much for having me on, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, that was a really good episode.
We'll get you on in the future as well. That's,
no problem at all. More than happy to come on. If you guys are looking for people to have on in the future, I've got a couple of people who you could always ask. I mean, there's loads of guys out there that are good if you want sort of people to talk on like specific topics.
That'd be brilliant.
That'd be cool.
Perfect.
Yeah, send them over, Tom. Give me a text.
No worries, guys.
Thank you, mate.